What's going on, everyone? Officer Rhino. Listen, I want to talk a little bit about how the thin blue line flag is not necessarily racist. Sure as heck wasn't developed to go against Black Lives Matter, and it actually has a pretty long running history that, in the most part, it was developed for morale and to to help the push towards protecting the citizens from chaos and tyranny and all those things. Uh, Brief history on it is it started. Actually, this is back in the British versus the Crimean War. That was back in like 1854. The British developed the red line flag as a way to show support for their army that dressed in a uniform of red. And fast forward a little bit to 1911. Even our soldiers in 1911 were wearing blue. So they took a key off of Britain and they said, you know what, we want to support our troops too, but we wear blue, they wear red, so we're gonna say blue line flag. They developed a blue line flag, which was a black background with a blue line through it, as as that way to boost morale for their troops to say, hey, this shows our support for you. It wasn't against anybody by far, not by far. It was kind of like an attaboy. It was the coveted POB, the pat on the back. And in 1950s, uh, this is sort of an unfortunate one, but it's history. The LA County Police Chief, he adopted it, and his idea was it was to show that they were there to protect against chaos and harm, and it was a reminder. That's what the thin blue line was. The thin blue line was a thin line of police officers between the good and the evil. Okay, unfortunately, he turned out to be a little bit evil. Him, and apparently a bunch of his officers got suspended, and the chief himself, I believe, might end up with a felony. I know some officers did. Uh, but it's complete disclosure. You take the good with the bad. In 1962, Massachusetts, I believe it was, um, they had a huge onset of demonstrators against nuclear weapons. Uh, and they handled it well. And the Massachusetts chiefs, or one of the Massachusetts chiefs, said, "You know what, blue line flag, because I want to show support for how well we did, keeping us from chaos because of the demonstrations. They managed to, get through it without casualties, hurt people, anything like that. They did their jobs basically. Now up in the 70s, it became more and more popular. More police officers and agencies were using the flag, saying, this shows, this reminds me of why I do what I do. This reminds me that I'm part of that thin blue line between the good people and the bad people. They separate it. They kind of act as a barrier. So that's a reminder for those officers when they go to work every day what they're going to work for. Fast forward a little bit, 1988. Okay, now I know it was popular during the 70s, but in 1988 they did a documentary on it. That's back when police shows in the 80s were getting really popular. Blue became a very popular thing, very popular name. But they did this documentary about Robert Wood. He was a Dallas police officer that was killed in the line of duty. Uh, they mentioned the thin blue line flag and multiple times throughout this documentary. And one of the key parts of it was the prosecutor. The prosecutor in her closing arguments uh, used that thin blue line to say officers represent that thin blue line that separates people from anarchy. Something we're seeing a lot of today. We're seeing a lot of anarchy and destruction, and it's not for either side. You would say it's a group of people hell bent on anarchy, but that's what the very officers that they're fighting right now, are the officers that are supposed to separate us from that anarchy. But they're not being allowed to do that. They're not being allowed to do that because they're simply defending themselves right now. Since then it's been a pretty uh, widely used symbol. It just became more popular in police culture. It started showing up on cars. It started showing up in uniforms. Today, it shows up on that lovely mask that you're forced to wear. But you see people, maybe they're showing their discourse by wearing the blue line flag on it for whatever reason. But that's where you're seeing it, almost everywhere now. Then, and a lot of people have it just to back the blue. A lot of people want to symbolize, "Hey, I support you," and they'll have that flag. But then here's where the trouble started in 2014. 2014, Thin Blue Line USA Incorporated, a business that sells blue line related things, police related things, back the blue, all that. Um, they decided, hey, I want to do something for the fallen officers' families. So they took the American flag and they put a thin blue line in it and changed the colors of it. Okay, they sold these in 2014, and all the proceeds went to the families of fallen officers. That's a wonderful thing to do. Never, that wasn't a, I'm putting this flag out because I despise other people. Nothing like that. It was to support families. This is where the problem starts because in 2013, 1 year prior to him or this company, trying to support families, 1 year prior, Black Lives Matter became a company. I'm not sure if they're a company or if they're an organization, a 501c3. I don't know, but they started to exist. Uh, I'm pretty sure that at that point in time they weren't that significant of a known organization that somebody would have gone out and purposely made a flag against them. I should note, as far as the flag goes, flag code goes, and destroying a flag, if you read that carefully, you'll find out that once the flag's colors are changed, as long as it doesn't have 50 stars on it and it's being marked up and changed and things like that, it's not really destruction of the flag. So it doesn't fall under flag code. It's a completely different animal altogether. Uh, so they're not against BLM. I heard recently, I've watched several streams where people are shouting, "You're flying that flag because it's racist and it's against BLM." It's not what it is. It shows support for officers, and it has for 150 years. That is roughly 140, almost 142 and a half years more than BLM. So it's not against BLM, and I want that to be out there. And another thing I want to say, if you have a flag that says I support officers, you have a flag that says I support other races. Well, we can do that because we're in the United States. It's called freedom of speech. Just because I say I like peanut butter, that does not imply that I hate jelly. They go rather well together. But I love peanut butter. Hell, I'll put it on the flag. Just because I love peanut butter doesn't mean I don't like BLM. If you see where I'm going with this. So, I want people to know that. I want people to realize that. You can fly your flag. I can fly my flag. Joe Blow can fly his flag. It doesn't matter. It's not hate speech. Hate speech is something totally different, and you need to look up the definitions of it if that's what people think. Flying a flag that says Blue Lives Matter is no different than flying a flag that says Black Lives Matter. No different than flying a sign that says Asian Lives Matter. The problem in this world is hate. You need to realize there are bad officers out there, and I despise them. I do. There's, I think it's 8% out of 800,000 officers may be bad. But that leaves 92% of people that go to work every day not knowing whose life they're going to defend, but they put their life on the line to save yours. You may not ever know it till you're in that situation. Boy, I've been in that situation. I've been on both sides. Both sides. I've been there to save somebody, and I've been there to be saved. That's why I respect that flag. I see that thin blue line as that's the thin blue line between life and death for me at some points in time. Think about that. Uh, anyhow, lesson went a little further than I wanted to, but you know a little more about the thin blue line flag, and you know that it symbolizes morale, and in no way does it symbolize hate. And in no way is somebody trying to push hate by supporting one group. If that was true, this entire country would be hate. In all reality, somebody should support all groups, but it doesn't fit on a flag. But I've got an idea. But the flag doesn't look too good like that. Not because of what it says, just because it's kind of contrasting. Not that I'm a model of dressing fancy or anything, but alright. This video should probably get about 3 or 4 views. To those 3 or 4 people that view this video, thank you for following all the way to the end. And I hope everybody's a little bit enlightened on that. So I really hope y'all pass this around and share this video, because people need to stop saying things like that. People need to stop running up to people and saying things like that. Not because they don't have a right to free speech, but just because the words are ignorant when you don't know the facts. And you just make yourself look poor. Very, very, very much a poorly and unintelligent person when you refuse to understand fact. There's a lot of facts out there I understand. I'm just not talking about them. Maybe your side, may not be. I don't know, but see, I'm entitled to those feelings, and you're entitled to yours, but feelings aren't fact. Just saying.